Fantastic. So, welcome everybody. We are so glad to have you here for the Writer's Bridge. It is fantastic to see you. Remember always that you can go down to the three dots that say more and turn on the closed caption function so that you are able to see us talking as well as hear us talking. And likewise, if you find that the closed caption function is distracting to you, you can also go down to those three dots and you can hit hide captions and it will take them away again. We are now going to go ahead and let me go ahead and hit some mute buttons here. Why is it not like muting all the new people who come in? Sorry, I just muted you, Charlotte, by mistake. You're going to have to unmute yourself. Okay, fantastic.
That's right. I did it to you last month, so I kept muting you. Welcome, everybody. Happy to have you here.
Welcome to the Writer's Bridge. We are so excited to have you here. And we wanted you to know that today we are going to talk about author marketing plans. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have asked myself so many questions about what exactly should be in my author marketing plan. Do I need to be on TikTok? Do I need to be on Substack? How is it all supposed to work? And what exactly should I be doing? So our guest today is going to tell us all about some non-traditional marketing and how to design a marketing plan that works for you, that does not require shaking your tail on TikTok, and that speaks directly to the people who are your readers, the people who need your words. Because in the long run, that's what we're really all about here at the Writer's Bridge. We are all about reaching the audience who is going to have their life changed by the book you are writing. But before we dive in today, hey, Charla, what's coming up with the Craft Talks webinar series?
Thank you, Allison. Yep, I'm unmuted. Great. I just wanted to let everyone know that tomorrow, we have Heather Sellers returning to Craft Talks to teach Mastering Braided Memoir, how to structure multiple dramatic threads. You can come and learn the craft techniques that transform separate threads into a rich, seamless narrative. That's the hope that surprises, moves, and resonates with readers. Heather Sellers is one of our best presenters, sure to be a good one. Add a link into the chat in just a moment. The other thing I just want to let you know, for the month of August only, we're offering the replay from Beth Kephardt's The Ideal Sentence, Your Voice, Your Tone, Your Pace. It includes, as soon as you pay, automatic email sent to you that includes the video, chat, handout, and transcript. Allison, what do you have coming up?
Well, I have to say, I am so excited. And by the way, those of you who are just joining us, please do drop into the chat. Where are you coming from and what are you currently working on? We always love to have our community meet each other. And please feel free to keep those community conversations going in the chat. And as we go today, Charla and I will use the red question mark symbol to mark your questions in the chat so that we can scroll back and find them. But please don't use that question mark yourself, because that way we can take it off again once we've addressed your question. So trust that we are going to find your questions in there. What's coming up for me? So I am super proud of my husband, who is an IT guy, and he has created an engine that uses trusted sources of publishing and marketing information to generate a full report with your reader demographics, comp titles, what exactly is going to make your readers buy this book, why it stands out, and even estimated sales numbers. It is called the Ideal Reader Analyzer. You do not upload your manuscript into it. You answer 6 simple questions. And you can check out a sample report at the link that I will post into the chat. And I will also let you know that if you use code BRIDGE26, you can check out a sample report. You can also, at that site, if you are not ready to buy, you can sign up for a free email series where it will walk you through 6 questions to think about and define your book and your readers, which will help you with writing your proposal, help you with writing your query, all that kind of stuff. So check out the Ideal Reader Analyzer and get 26% off with code BRIDGE26. And thank you, Alyssa, for the vote of confidence in the chat. She says the analyzer is fantastic. She beta tested it a few months ago, and it was super helpful for both fiction and nonfiction. Hey, Charla, who is our amazing guest today?
Rachel Thompson is the founder of Bad Redhead Media, where she creates customized social media, book marketing, branding, Substack, and visibility campaigns for authors. With over 17 plus years of sales, marketing, and training experience, she helps writers build their platforms, connect with readers, and promote their work without gimmicks, magic formulas, or advice that involves dancing on TikTok or feet pictures, right? Rachel is also the author of 8 books, including Broken Pieces, Broken Places, Broken People, the Bad Redhead Media 30-Day Book Marketing Challenge, and 2 humor books. Rachel shares practical marketing guidance with more than 14,000 followers on Substack, where she writes weekly about marketing, social media, building your newsletter, publishing, and the realities of building an author platform. Welcome. So great to have you here, Rachel.
Thank you
Welcome,
so
Rachel.
much for having me. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I was up at 5 a.m. going, when is it going to start?
Thankfully, not at 5 a.m.
No, no.
So, Rachel, I got to ask, your company is called Bad Redhead Media, and yet when I look around us, there is only one redhead in this picture, and it is not you.
Yeah. Well, when I opened or started my company in 2011, I had red hair. Now in 2026, I'm 62 and my hair started going white over the pandemic. And I said, forget it, I'm done. But then I'm stuck with the name, which I do love the name. So, but
It's a
Bad
good name.
Whitehead Media just doesn't flow.
It doesn't have a
So,
great.
Yeah, that sounds like a condition.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
So, Rachel, you have been doing media and PR for over 17 years. You founded Bad Redhead in 2011. What has changed the most about author marketing in the past 15, 17 years, and what hasn't changed at all?
that's such a great question. And it really made me think. So, I think what's changed is if you think about back 2011, most people, if they went to buy a book, went to a bookstore. They didn't probably have a Kindle, or if they did, they thought that they had to have a Kindle to read Kindle books. They didn't realize that there was a free Kindle app and they could put it on their phone or their computer. I still get people who say that to me. So I think the analog way that people would buy and read books has changed radically, of course, with Amazon, but also with these other newer sites that are coming in, like bookshop.org has created this huge need for authors who are now, like, analog sort of went out as digital marketing came in. And so everything moved online, right? So all of the things that we were doing were no longer only in a bookstore, for example. You could have a reading. I have a reading, one of my clients has a reading today at Chatham University, and it's going to be zoomed all over the world. So, the amount of people I think that we can reach with digital marketing has certainly increased our ability to connect with people online and from all over the world, which we didn't have those options when many of us started writing. Like I said, I published my first 2 humor books in 2010 and 2011, and things were very different. And you could really make some decent bank on Amazon. That really changed too, because
Yeah.
they radically changed the pot that people were able to be a part of. So, a lot of that has really changed as well.
I have 2 questions. My first question is, who's your client that's zooming into Chatham?
Oh, she'll actually be at Chatham. It's an MFA program that
I know
she's
I graduated from there, so I'm
Oh,
curious.
okay, Margaret Whitford,
Oh,
and
wonderful.
I think it's today, and her book is called "The History We Carry," and it's
Wonderful.
a beautiful memoir about her and her mother from She Writes Press.
Wonderful. So before an author does anything,
Yeah,
post ads, a newsletter, anything that we're supposed to do when it comes to marketing, what should
yeah.
they figure out first? Like, what do they know and what they don't know about their own book, about their readers? What would you suggest? Like, what's the very first step?
I think the very first step from a writing perspective is to figure out who your ideal reader is. Even if you just make it up off the top of your head, who do you wish would be reading your book? Because when you first start, you have no idea who your ideal reader is. It's a really
Mm-hmm.
a stab in the dark. But one of the other things we can do is to look at comps and see what are other books out there in my genre and what are they doing? Are they on social media? What can I look at and see what they're doing and what I like or don't like? And I think that's really helpful when you aren't sure what you aren't sure about. The
Mm.
other thing I think is really helpful is to figure out where would this ideal writer hang out online. So you can go to Pew Research, it's PEW research.org. It's totally nonpartisan. And you can look and see where does this group of this demographic hang out. And so for most of us, without you having to go to pewresearch.org, I'll tell you, for most of us who are women or men as well, any gender, who are writing for an older audience. And when I say older, I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm 62, right? I've made that very clear. The majority of people, probably 40 and over, are going to be on Facebook. There's just no no getting around that. And then you can also look and see where the writers that you're looking at, the comps are, what are they doing? And are they dancing on TikTok, and is that helping their book sales? Probably not. I'm not a fan of TikTok, but I know there are a lot of people here who are just absolutely kicking it over there. But I think that for the majority of people who are writing memoir or who are writing for a female-centric audience, we're going to find most of the people that we're going to connect with on Facebook out of social media. Now, that said, Substack, of course, has become a huge part of what we're all doing. And so you'll definitely find an audience there as well. But that's probably where I'd start if that's your genre.
Mm.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And what I've found as well, I want to add to that, is that it's not about being on Facebook as a monolith. You guys have
Right.
probably all noticed that much of your feed is filled with advertisements and people you do not know. I had a brief 2-week period where, for some terrifying reason, Facebook decided that what I really needed was AI generated erotica, complete with extremely vivid images that I was surprised were allowed on Facebook. But what you
Wow.
really
I
need
know.
to do
I
is
know.
find the groups on Facebook.
Mhm.
So many of you here are in the binders building platforms that the Writers Bridge came out of to begin with. Many of you are in the binder full of memoirists or the binder full of novelists. There are also plenty of other writing related groups that are not gender limited as the binders are. And so that's a place where there's actual conversations happening about the work that you're doing. And it's so much more useful than just Facebook as a whole, so much more useful. Rachel, once we've decided who our reader is, once we've looked at some people that we want to be shelved next to and seen who their readers are, how do we set our goals, our audience, our time, our budget? Like, let's say that I have a book coming out next year. What should I be doing right now to figure out how to spend my time and my money?
Yeah, it's a great idea. So I would say and everybody groans when I say this, to create a marketing plan. And when I say create a marketing plan, you can take a napkin and scribble out a couple ideas on it, okay? I just want you to have an idea of what do you think you should be doing for your book, and then compare that to what you see people doing, people in this group. What kind of successes have they had? So really, it's a lot of research, I think, more than anything, to figure out what works for you or what might not work for you. So here's an example. I know that I don't enjoy and pretty much suck at creating graphics. So I hire somebody to do that for me because me and Canva are not friends. It's never going to happen. And I'm too busy with other stuff. So for me, it makes sense to hire out somebody who can create those visuals for me, which would take me 3 days to do, and it takes them 10 seconds. So I think we have to figure out what we're good at, what we're comfortable with, and also in this marketing plan, decide where do you want to be? don't want to be. That's a really big part because I get a lot of older clients who will say, I'm not going to dance on TikTok. And I'm saying, you don't have to. You can if you want to. You don't even have to dance. You can just go on there and talk. But honestly, if your demographic is not probably the TikTok demographic, then you're better off on Facebook or Substack. And then again, looking at those comps and seeing what they're doing. And then having an idea of a budget is really important. If you say, I want to spend no money, but I want my book to sell millions of copies, that's not going to happen. So you have to be realistic on what you want to spend. And also, if you want to hire somebody like myself or somebody else who focuses on what you ladies do to get you to the point where you need to be. So keep that in mind. And the other thing I always tell people is you're never going to get a one-to-one ROI. And I get asked this question a lot. So if I spend $5,000 with a PR company, am I going to get 5,000 book sales? Probably not. But why is there that expectation? That's the thing that I look at. So ask
Mm.
yourself about having very realistic expectations. And I think that's important too.
We have a
And I
really
want to say as well, we've been kind of slamming on TikTok here,
And I don't
but
mean to be,
oh no,
I'm on
totally,
it.
totally. I'm
Yeah.
totally slamming it, and I'm not on TikTok, but I want you all to remember as well that 2 episodes ago we had Christopher Buehlman on here. Christopher is a very literary writer. He is writing high-level literary horror, and it is Book Talk that made his book come back. So don't assume that a particular platform isn't right for you because your work is more thoughtful or more literary, because that audience is out there too. Sorry, Charlotte, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's a good point. We did have a question in the chat that I wanted to make sure we came back to because it was such a good one. Robert is asking, how can you track other writers' success in marketing so you can know who's marketing to emulate and who's to ignore? Is there anyone out there that you remember, for example, you're like, that person had a really great marketing strategy?
God, there's so many. So many of the people that I follow are on Substack now, like Jane Friedman, of course. Most people know Jane. But also Christina God is another one. I think it's pronounced Goad or
Hmm.
Good because she's German. And Fleur Hill, Fleur Hill, they have created the Substack bookstore, and their clients are getting their books on Amazon and Barnes and Noble lists. And I don't know if they've made, New York Times or anything, but I think if you look at what people are doing that's outside the norm, that can really help give you some ideas of which way you want to go.
And I want to follow up on that as well. Robert asking, how can you track other writers'
Oh,
successes?
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
but the easiest thing to do is check their Amazon ranking. How many reviews do they have? Where are they on the list in their categories and in their subcategories? Google them. Are they getting reviews in publications where you would like to be reviewed? I mean, trust that you yourself can see some of this information just by looking and going, oh, their number on Amazon is in the 20,000s, so they're doing pretty well. Or their number on Amazon is in the 800,000s, so they're not actually doing all that well. They're not actually selling that many books. And if you've got a friend who owns a bookstore or runs a publishing company, you can also ask them to look up the sales numbers on BookScan. And one of the things you may discover is that it takes fewer copies than you might think to be a New York Times bestseller. If it is a low week of the year, you can get on that list with 2,000 copies sold, which is not that many copies. Sorry, Rachel, go ahead and chime in on there.
No, I totally agree with that because you never know what's going to happen. So, you know, you might as well set your sights high, but also, like I said, have realistic expectations. So I think you want to also look at your money, what are you spending and what you'll get in return to help you set up your budget. But again, have realistic expectations. You need to plan for things like advertising. I don't recommend advertising, for example, again, we're bringing up TikTok for my books because that's not really the genre that does
What
super
the
well over
hell?
there, right? But I do spend money on Facebook ads. I do spend money on LinkedIn ads. I used to spend money on Twitter ads. I don't do that anymore, but I do still focus a little bit there because X, as people call it, it's still Twitter to me, gets picked up and indexed. So you're getting visibility. And that's the one thing that I really tell everybody is before deciding where you want to be or how you want to spend your time, what's going to give you the most visibility? And then to just jump on that final point, Allison, to see how what other people are doing, you can also look at their Substack because you can see how many followers they have versus how many subscribers they have. It's two different numbers. And so it's really interesting to look at those numbers and see, like we just had Stephanie on doing a guest, Stephanie Weaver did a guest post for me. Thank you, Allison, introduced us. And I was able to tell her how her post did, how many views we got, what was the reach, what was the engagement. So checking analytics is so important. And it's something that most of us, I'm a writer too, don't enjoy doing, but it is really important to look at that.
So you've mentioned Substack a few times now, and I do have a question about Substack.
Hmm?
Why and how should authors be using Substack as part of their platform right now, and who should be on Substack versus some other newsletter platform? And then a backup from the chat was, is Substack dying or is it on the rise?
It's on the rise. There's so much, we could do a whole hour on nothing but this. And I know you have other people talking about it too, which is great. I love it because it has been the easiest way for me to grow subscribers, which is not easy to do. So I'll just give you my actual numbers. I started there in 2023 in August. So it's actually my 3-year anniversary there. I've published weekly almost every Wednesday for the past 3 years. I do have a sponsor who pays for my advertising. People asked how I got that. I asked and I used their product and they said, great. And so that helps. So I do advertise my Facebook on there, but I went from having about 1,800 followers collected over a decade using MailerLite, MailChimp, etc. I'm sure you're all familiar with those. I'm now up to almost 15,000 subscribers on my Substack. Most of them are free. I'm not trying to say I'm making a living and I have 15,000 paid subscribers. Wouldn't that be wonderful? There are people doing that. That's not my goal. My goal is to just put out information and keep it free for everybody.
And Rachel, I want to emphasize something that you said, which is you post every week.
Yep.
And you post content that is valuable to your audience.
Yes.
You are not posting your daily diary. You are not posting, oh, here's a cool thing I heard on social media. You are posting valuable essays about marketing and publicity that authors want to hear. The Writer's Bridge went from 0 subscribers to about 5,000 subscribers in, I think, 2 years. And people kept asking, oh, hey, how did you do that? How did you do that? And it's like, oh, well, it was really easy. All we did was show up every week and deliver quality content for an hour for free for 2 years. That's all it took. And it really is consistency. And so when I see people on Substack and often on Reddit in the Substack Reddit forum complaining about, well, how come I don't have any subscribers? How come I don't have any subscribers? It is a long-term game. You have to be willing to show up regularly and deliver quality for more than a year. Back to you, Rachel.
Well, I love that you brought that up. And I think you have to work at it. Like somebody started calling me Substack mother, which made me laugh. But I click on everything. I look at everything and it's not the easiest platform to figure out. So I end up doing a lot of setup for clients. And then you have to SEO your posts as well. So they get picked up by Google and AI search. So there's a lot of back end stuff you need to do on picking your publication categories, adding tags, adding photos, having subheadings, all the stuff that if you've ever been a blogger, you already know to do. This is no different. It's just that it now exists on Substack, but also goes out to your subscribers. So it's like a double hit. And that's what's so great because as a social media post goes by, maybe 10 people see it, maybe 100 people see it over the course of 24 hours. Whereas you've got an audience who has opted in to receive your work. And so when they see it, they're like, oh, okay, one lady said, okay, great, more stuff I don't know you're sending me, great, but at least I'm making them think.
Right. And I heard that it's important when you first start Substack, because we just had Becky Took on Craft Talks talking about Substack. Yeah, she's great. And she was talking specifically about, generate content that not maybe your best work, because you don't have enough energy for that, right? How do you continue to sustain your best work? But, thoughtful things that you care about that and do it for a while consistently, and then you'll see those themes kind of come to the surface, and then you can make subtopics, and people can subscribe to those if they want. But sometimes you have to write to figure out and discover what it is that you actually want to talk about. We have a lot of questions about fiction writing, like, do fiction writers have a place on Substack? Do they have like information, something worth giving? Because we know nonfiction often can talk about research. Have you seen fiction writers on Substack be successful?
Yeah, there are a lot of Substack writers, and fiction is an actual category. They have 31 categories. There's no writers category. There's no writing. There's no authors. There is literature and fiction. So if you want to put yourself, if you're a fiction writer, pick fiction as your number one category. The reason that's important is you pick two categories. The first category will get you on a leaderboard if you have to have two things take place. You turn on paid subscriptions and you have enough paid subscriptions to make it onto the leaderboard. So if you don't care about these leaderboards, you don't want to turn on anything paid, you don't have to do that. Just start it. And as you said, Charlotte, start writing. My one suggestion, though, is to give people an idea of what you're writing about. So if you come to book marketing, if you come to my Substack, it's called Bad Redhead Media's All Things Book Marketing. So if I started writing about cookies, then there's an issue, right? So you know what you're going to get with me. If you put in your name, let's say you put it Allison K. Williams Substack, if people know who you are, Allison, obviously, but if nobody did, they'd be like, well, what am I reading? What is this Substack
Right.
about? So put in at least like a keyword, at least
Right.
what it's about.
You actually reminded me of an important thing that I didn't mention, was that, let's say you only have 3 people that are subscribing, to think about what is people are responding to, and let that
Yes.
also guide what you're doing. Let's say that you don't get much traction on your childhood stories, but when it comes to your grandmother's recipes, people are sharing that like mad. Well, maybe that's something that you should be focusing on more than, like being really aware of audience reaction, even if it's just 3 people, even if it's 3 people that being serving your audience. As a reader, we appreciate that. As a writer, you should do that, but also maybe on Substack, thinking about what people are enjoying to like lead you.
Yeah.
We will get back to some more Substack questions, and we also have lots of other questions in our chat. But I want to ask as well, what should we do ourselves, and what is worth paying a publicist for? Now, I know that using Publicist, you can do everything from hiring a part-time intern to send out pitches you have written and follow up on them, all the way up to hiring a professional PR person, which can cost thousands of dollars a month with a minimum 3 to 6 month commitment and needs to be started about a year before you actually put your book out. But Rachel, what should we do ourselves, and what should we hire, and how do we make that choice?
Well, I think you really have to look internally and decide, what do you absolutely love to do? If you love to write, then Substack or a blog is a perfect place for you to continue doing that, to connect with people. Do you love leading communities? Then create a community around the topic of your book. I've written 3 books about being a childhood sexual abuse survivor, and I have several large groups on Facebook of survivors. So not that that's a built-in audience. I don't want people to think like, oh, I collect all these survivors just so I can make them buy my books. It's not that. It's about connecting with people with similar life experiences. And hopefully it will lead to a book sale at some point, but you're also going to get to know these wonderful people. And I think it's about creating that community. And that can be done anywhere. You can create a Facebook group, you can create an Instagram group, you can create even Twitter has groups. And of course, Substack, you have several options that you can choose from there as well.
So
Great.
what should we do? What should we pay somebody else to do?
Sorry, lost track of the question. I think you have to decide what you are good at and what you're not good at. So for me, my example is I hate creating graphics, so I hire a graphics person to create all my graphics for me. I have a graphic designer on staff who does all the other stuff. But this gal does reels for me and things like that. If you're not sure what you're not sure of, then it helps to hire someone like myself. I do book marketing and coaching. And so I do a lot of helping people who are unfamiliar with the book industry understand what it means to get something indexed, for example. A lot of people don't really understand what that means or why that's important, or the ways to publish, or how to start their Substack. So figure out what you may want to do, what you definitely don't want to do, and what you're good at. And then you'll have an idea of who maybe you want to hire out. And then I would come to you lovely ladies and, ask who do you recommend, or any of the people you have on Craft Talks, I'm sure would also be open to that. So I think it's a matter of connecting with the community and figuring out what you're good at and what you're not good at.
And I would say too that in terms of hiring full-on professional publicists,
Mhm.
the value of them is that they can get you to places you can't get to yourself. So for
Right.
example,
Yes.
anybody can pitch the New York Times. You do not need a publicist to get you to the New York Times. Not everybody is going to be able to get to, and Michelle says, what about media contacts? Better to hire a publicist than contact Drew Barrymore directly? Exactly.
Yeah.
And your publicist is probably also not going to be able to get to Drew Barrymore directly unless they are
No.
a much more expensive publicist than I have access to. But they will know people who know people who know people, and they're going to be able to get you into some media that you cannot get yourself. That said, remember as well, it is very often not the TV appearances and the podcast appearances that get you to the people who are actually going to buy your book.
Mhm.
Rachel, how do you make the difference? How do you discover what is, oh, it's just nice to get my name out there, and what is, this is an audience that will genuinely purchase my book?
And that's a really important question to ask and figure out where your audience hangs out, right? So, for example, for me, for you and Charlotte, our audience is writers. So being on Substack, for example, is a great place to be because there's so many writers there. But if you're on Substack to attract readers, right? Readers and writers are different. Writers love to read, of course. A lot of readers love to write, but they're not always the same, right? So, what is the reader experience that you're giving them, and decide how that's going to connect you? And also, if there's one thing that you do today, I would look at your analytics. What are your analytics on Facebook? And when I say analytics, I mean not just how many followers do you have. What's the reach? What's the engagement? Have you run any ads, and what kind of views are you getting? Those are the things that we look at. And then with Substack, you're also looking at things like open rate, which may tend to be smaller than what you got when you sent out something via MailChimp, but you're still going to be getting hits online. So it's still going to continue to grow.
So you're talking about metrics.
Yeah.
Is there any other way or any other metrics people should be aware of to tell whether their marketing is actually working, besides, of course, book sales?
Right, right. So yeah, obviously you want to see are the book sales, but I use a tool called Genius Link. They have a free version called Book Linker, and it's one link, one universal link for your book that will work wherever anybody is in the world. And so if they click on that link, you get tracking information. So we know this is for your own information. You can't look at and see somebody else's. I can see how many clicks I'm getting from Twitter or Facebook or Google or wherever, and how many are coming from other places. And where am I not getting clicks from? Maybe I'm spending money on LinkedIn, but I'm not getting clicks from LinkedIn. That would be a stupid way for me to be spending money, right? I should spend it from the clicks I do get. And I'll tell you, almost 90% of my clicks come from Facebook over to my Substack. But
Oh,
I
wow.
wouldn't know that if I didn't track it. Now you can't look at somebody else's numbers because you don't have access to that, but you can at least see what is the interaction like that they're getting. Are they putting up a post and getting absolutely no comments, no likes, no shares? It happens, especially with all the AI slop out there now. We're competing for all of that. So I wouldn't just count on social media as the only way to interact with people, but I definitely feel like it's important.
And in particular, when you're looking at other people's social media, don't count followers. Look at how their posts are actually engaged with, because there are a lot of people who have purchased their followers. The followers are bots. They are not actually interacting with them. It's not actually doing them any good. I want to show you guys just very briefly what analytics looks like. So this, for example, is the Brevity blog, and you'll notice that it's showing us this is how many people have viewed us in 2026. This is how many visitors we've had. We can see that in May here, we had 21,000 views. We had 14,000 visitors who showed up 1.5 times a piece. And then it lets me show where did people come from and what are they looking at the most. So this piece from 0 to 100, how I published 100 pieces in 1 year, it's really popular. And so if I'm looking at what else do I want to show on this blog, I might think, okay, should we try and get another essay that's specifically about publishing lots of pieces, because that was really popular. We have a lovely piece here, and I think it's by Rebecca Morrison, who is here with us today and a wonderful community leader. What writers owe the people who show up for them, which is all about going to a reading where the guy was kind of mean about his audience. A few people have asked in the chat, what is SEO? SEO, search engine optimization. It is putting stuff in the title and in the content that people will actively be searching for. So like, for example, people are not going to be searching for, this guy dissed me at his reading, but they might search for, what should I do at a reading? Or how can I have a good reading? And so terms like that being in here would be valuable. When I look over at my Substack here, now I have not turned on subscriptions at this point. I'm not billing anybody, but they do have the option to pledge money, which helps Substack show you to more people, because Substack eventually wants their cut. So they're willing to show you, even if you're not actually billing anybody, you might want to turn on the option for them to pledge. And you'll notice that I had a really steep jump here in like March, April, where all of a sudden I went from like 400 subscribers to like 1,000 subscribers. And it's because I posted a note that went viral, and a lot of people followed me from those notes. I'm going to show you one more here, which is over here looking. This is Flowdesk. Charla and I use Flowdesk as our newsletter thing for sending out newsletters to our audience, including you guys. You'll notice that the email that you got on Monday, it was sent out to 4,337 subscribers. We send it out first thing in the morning because typically that's a better time of day to get things opened. We can see 4,337 people it was sent. It actually got to almost all of them. That means some of them it bounced, or their email is deceased, or their server caught it, or whatever. Of that, 2,400 people opened it and 99 people clicked on something. This is actually a very good ratio. This is about a 55% open rate and a 2% click rate, which terrifyingly is really good. It's really, really good.
Really good.
Now, I could go down, and you notice here, like, most of our people are on desktop rather than mobile. So that tells me something. And it also lets me know how many people subscribed, how many people marked us spam, how many people bounced. I then quietly sulk to myself about, why would you mark us spam when we signed up for you, motherfucker? Pardon me. Claudia, bleep that sucker out before we put that on YouTube. But you don't need to know a whole lot of analytics. It's useful just to look at stuff like, oh, maybe we sent this one at 7 a.m. and we sent another one at 9 p.m. and the 9 p.m. email will always get fewer opens. So we know, don't send it at 9 p.m., send it at 7 a.m. You don't have to be a mathematics mastermind. You don't have to be demographically brilliant. Just take a look. How many people are getting it? how many people are opening it, how many people are clicking on it. Rachel, is there anything else about demographics that we should, like, 101 easy, be paying attention to, not being overwhelmed, just some easy, simple metrics to pay attention to?
Yeah, I would just take a look at if you use a social media management tool like Buffer or CoSchedule or Hootsuite, any of those, they automatically create reports for you. You may have never looked at it, but take a look at those and just see. And it'll give you data for the past month, the past 3 months, whatever. And that gives you an idea of the social media aspect. You have to go in like you did, though, into your individual website and see where people are clicking and see what's really popular. And then I think you can do the same thing with your newsletter, whether you're on Substack or not. What is your open rate? How many views? What is the click-through rate? Those are the things that we want to build over time, not be going down. So pay attention to what those articles are. My most popular article ever on Substack is part 2 of a Substack series I did called Substack Made Simple. Why part 2 and not part 1 or part 5? I don't know. But like 1,000 people like subscribed from that one article, just kind of like how you had that go viral. And my final point too is I have a cat. You've probably seen him. His name is Pip. He's all over social media. He's very photogenic. I wrote an article. Pip got more clicks on my notes than notes are the social media part of Substack than I did when I shared all the things that I've been working on. So now we call Pip as the book marketing cat. And I shared 10 things I have learned about writing from my cat. And it's one of the most popular posts that I've ever written. And it's not even about book marketing.
Yeah, someone was mentioning that, animals is what gets the most clicks. I'm like, there's an angle there. Have your animals do something for you.
Yep.
In the marketing, you can be clever about it for sure. There was something else that you mentioned. I forgot what I was going to talk about. We have so many questions in the chat. Do we want to get to these?
Let's hit some chat questions. Yeah. So
Okay.
Janaya has asked, can someone put these analytic tools in the chat? Much appreciated. The ones that I showed you are all native tools. It's in Substack already. It's in WordPress already. It's in Flowdesk already. But Rachel, you mentioned a link maker that we could use for tracking. So if we can pop that into the chat, that would be awesome.
Yes,
Brian also asks, it sounds like we're aiming at independent authors. Does this apply to traditionally published authors as well, Rachel?
Yes, I work with a lot of traditionally published authors. And what you'll find, that was one of my most popular articles, is that traditional publishers don't do a lot for you when it comes to marketing. And they never do social media for you. They don't build your website. Sometimes they'll run ads. That can happen. They'll book you into places. And I wanted to clarify too, somebody said the difference between PR and what I do. PR has those contacts, as you mentioned, Allison. They get you into the New York Times or whatever else. My job then is to shout it. I'm the megaphone. So then I shout it out from all of your stuff, from my stuff. We run ads, etc. And there's a lot of other book marketing things that so much goes into it. Like, are you getting reviews? Where are you getting the reviews from? Sometimes if you're traditionally published, they'll put your book up on, I just lost the name of it. Oh,
that must be happening. There must be a hole somewhere that's sucking all our thoughts.
I know. I know you guys know what it is. It starts with an N. NetGalley.
NetGalley, yes.
There we go.
I believe the hole is called perimenopause, and it is sucking at all of us.
I'm in full blown. I've got my fan over here, but yeah. So NetGalley. So you'll get a lot of pre-publication reviews on NetGalley, but just know that as an indie author, you can also do that. You can either pay for it yourself or go in with a co-op. And just Google a lot of this stuff or go into my articles. I have tons of links. Everything is free. And like you, Allison, I want to also just clarify, everything is free, but I do offer, if you want to support me, go ahead and click and you can pay. You can also create a tip. So like some people don't want to spend $8 on a monthly sub, but you can put up a buy me a coffee and they can give you $1 if they want to.
Right.
So I think some people just want to support in some way. And then the final point, and I'll stop talking, is just because you put your paid options up does not mean you paywall the content. Our content is still completely free. And a lot of
Right.
people think that paid subs means paywall, and it doesn't have to, but it
Mm.
can't. So it's
All
just an
right.
important clarification.
Mm.
Let's do some quick draw questions. This
Yeah.
is our lightning round. So Rachel, Charla, and I are going to scroll through the chat and pull as many
I
questions
got
as we
one.
can. Go ahead,
Awesome.
Charla.
Marianne asked, do you suggest using your own name for Facebook, Substack, etc., or more of a description of your content, or both? Do you have any suggestions on that?
Use your name and author, because hopefully you're going to write more than one book, and hopefully it may or may not be in a different genre. Then you have to create something new every time. So establish yourself, Rachel Thompson, author. That's what my name is on Facebook, on everywhere else. I'm also Bad Redhead Media as well, because different, right? But you do have bios, and that's real estate. Use the real estate to put in your keywords. What do people want to, what will they get if they follow you? And that's important to know as well.
Great advice.
Absolutely. And I want to add one more thing to that, which is if you can come up with an umbrella title, that is also useful. So, for example, my Substack is Adventures in Writing. I do circus, I do travel, I do writing. It all comes under
Right.
Adventures in Writing. Question from Marjorie. If you have a social media presence and a Substack and a newsletter, do you need a website as well?
If you have a Substack, you don't need a newsletter because you're really covering that, and you can import all of your existing subscribers. So I wouldn't suggest doing double the work unless you have a lot of different topics and lists that you send out. I absolutely still recommend having a website, even if it's just a one pager, because that's your home on the internet. So let's just say Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Substack all fall into the ocean tomorrow. You still have your website. So you
Right.
want to keep that there, and it will get indexed as you update things, as you write new blog posts, or you can import your Substack into your website.
Right.
So that's an option, but yeah, you definitely want a website.
We
How
have
do
a
you?
collection of questions that I think go together. And then over to you, Charla. Sorry about that.
No.
Which is, do you need multiple social media accounts for multiple content topics? Do you need a business Facebook account as well as a personal Facebook account? Should you be opening up a new account as an author? Rachel, my position on all of these is you need a Facebook business account so you can purchase some advertisements. But other than that, for God's sake, do not take on one more social media account. It's just way more time than you have. Rachel, what do you say?
Well, I think people have to understand how these work. So Facebook works by you creating a personal account. Substack works by you creating a personal account. That's your reader account, right? It's your friends and family account on Facebook specifically. A Facebook author page is something different. You don't have to have friends and family. They don't have to friend you in order to see your public page. So yes, you do want the public page. It used to be on Facebook that you could not do ads on your personal account, but you can now. So if your personal account is where you spend all your time, then run your ads there.
Mm.
But if you want to connect your Instagram to your Facebook page, which is your professional account, they both need to be made into professional accounts, which is free to do. And all that means is that you're going to get analytics and the option to advertise. That's all it means. It doesn't cost money. But that's how Facebook works. But if that's all you want to manage, then just do that.
I find Facebook overwhelming now. I was there in the beginning. I used to love it, but now I'm like, what is all
It
this?
annoys me. I can't even tell you. I could spend, yeah, I see
So I
Rebecca.
stay
It's
I
like,
stay off I stay off Facebook. I joined Instagram, but I like to take photos, so that's why. But it's a private
yeah.
account. I don't make it public. I'm sorry for everyone who's friended me. um, sorry. But Craft Talks does have an Instagram account. But yeah, so I have a question from Karen about, I know there's some confusion. There's Substack subscribers and there's email lists. If you're doing email marketing, how do you balance that with Substack, or is it the same thing? Do you
The
combine
same thing.
powers?
It's the
Yeah.
same thing, but it feels confusing. So if you're familiar with Medium, then Substack is basically the same in that aspect. So you can go to medium.com and read somebody's writing, just like you can go to substack.com and read somebody's writing. You don't have to have any subscribers to start a Substack. It certainly helps if you do, okay, but you don't have to have them. I don't see a reason to pay MailerLite $250 a month for my 14,000 subscribers. It'd probably be $500 a month now when it's completely free on Substack. The
Mm.
problem with Medium is if you're still over there is you're not getting subscriber data. People are not opting in. Medium has that data, but we didn't. So I left Medium a long time ago when I realized the most important thing you can do now is start building your subscriber list.
Hmm.
And that's important. The difference between subscribers and followers on Substack is that someone can go onto Substack and read my posts because they're open to the public, right? But they haven't opted in to get it in their inbox. That's the difference. And that's okay because it's being indexed. I'm getting Google scraping it when people are talking about SEO, search engine optimization. That's what we're talking about.
Mm.
And I want to say too that I run both a newsletter and a Substack. The Substack is primarily focused on, let me tell you something cool. The newsletter is primarily focused on, here's a fun story and also buy my stuff.
Yes.
So I use them for two separate purposes. However, I have also noticed, and if you are on Substack, you need to get on there every single month and export your subscriber list because Substack is a private business and it can close when it wants to. And you want to make sure you have those emails in your hot little hands. I have imported them into my newsletter list, not to send them stuff because I can't without their permission, but to
Right.
compare that data. And 2/3 of my Substack subscribers are not on my regular newsletter. They are a
Mhm.
different set of people. I am reaching different people with that. Charla, another couple of questions from the chat.
Oh, sorry, I got lost in some chat responses. I don't
So
see you on.
I have one big question for us though that I think is going to be like our last major question here before we get to our top tips and what everybody can do today to get their work out into the world. How do you make the time? So, Rachel, I sit down, I have my physical piece of paper, like journal that I block out my week. And this is the time I'm going to spend writing a newsletter. And this is the time I'm going to spend writing my own work. And this is the time I'm going to spend editing. If we're getting ready to build a marketing plan for our work, how much time should we plan on allotting? Is there like a minimum per week that you recommend? Is there a maximum per week that you recommend? And how do you recommend making it fit in our life? I mean, I have no children or pets, and all of my relatives live more than 3,000 miles away. But I understand that other people may care about others and so have more things on their time.
Yeah. I think one of the best things we can do, excuse me, is to use some kind of a sorry, social media management tool. That will save you so much time. And again, I mentioned Buffer, Hootsuite, CoSchedule. There's AI versions now. You just dump your stuff in and they organize it for you. It's still your words. So, I think in using these types of tools, it's not cheating in my mind because it's still all of what I'm saying. But then it'll say, okay, for example, here's one post we're going to put on Facebook, but we're going to put a different version on Instagram because obviously the formatting's different.
Right.
We're not going to put any hashtags on one, whereas we might put 20 hashtags on Instagram or whatever. So I think to make time to do all these things is to decide what tools can I use that are going to not require 25 days for me to learn how to use the dang tool, but that will help me achieve the goal. And then if you're writing things like a Substack post weekly or a blog post weekly, there are blog sharing memes. You can schedule all that stuff in. I share Monday blogs. I started that in 2010, probably, where you share a blog post on Mondays on Twitter. I still do that because hundreds and hundreds of people participate. But I
Mm.
schedule all those things in. So schedule as much as you can, but be interactive still. When you have 10 minutes on, I would say 10 to 15 minutes a day is really all you'd need to spend on interaction. But the way that we grow is by consistency and engagement. So take 10 minutes once a week and retweet people or repost or make comments or share. This was really thoughtful. Include them in your own newsletter. Wow, I went to this craft talks and saw this great person and they did this thing and here's more about it. So it's not just, hey, buy my book. Hey, buy my book.
Yeah.
24/7. So
Always
schedule
say,
as much as you can. Yeah.
lead with generosity is always the best.
Always.
Give more than you expect from other people.
Absolutely.
That's really
And
good
I would
advice.
recommend too, what I generally tell authors is plan that you are going to spend between 5 and 15 hours a week for 6 months prior to your book being launched and for about 4 more months after your book is launched. I want to ask Rebecca Morrison to unmute herself because Rebecca, you recently launched a book. You launched a middle grade novel, which for you was learning an entirely new audience. You yourself are not a middle grade person for many years now. Rebecca, how much time have you spent and how much time are you still spending? And you are with a traditional Big Five publisher.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for 6 months before, I was going to say exactly what you said. I actually worked at least 5 hours a day, on different things for 6 months before my book came out. And honestly, a couple months after, and then I got kind of burned out, and I'm trying to like get back up on that. And learning a new thing, I think I mentioned it in the for me, all my contacts, all my audience were adult readers, writers, and I had to find a whole new audience. So that was about looking at Facebook groups that have those audiences. You can join Facebook groups that are not writers. You can join, find your specific people. Let's say you're writing a book about cats. You can find people that love cats, people that like a specific cat, people that are cat moms, to cat dads. I found parents, librarians, teacher groups, all these people, and you look at their description of the group and you're very polite and you answer their questions, and then you're really thoughtful when they admit you into the groups. Same thing on Instagram, same thing on Substack. Finding your people. It is a slow, hard process of work and it takes a long time, but it really matters because out of all the hundreds of hours of work you do, if 2 or 3 10 things hit in 6 months of a specific person that has a huge audience about your specific book, that is gold and it'll make such a difference. I meet people. I just went to the National Book Fair in DC and I met people that knew my book that I've never heard of. And they're like, I've seen it. I'm like, where? But this is what happens. You just keep on grinding.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have friends like Rachel and Allison and Charla who are supportive and wonderful and share your stuff. So it's been an immense amount of work, but very rewarding.
Sounds like
Thank you very, very
consistency is
much.
key. Sounds like both you and Rachel, Rebecca, were talking about just being consistent. You called it the grind, but it's also just showing up and having
Yeah.
a plan.
Yeah.
And that seems like even when you do newsletters, people expect it at a certain time, and you don't know if you're doing well until you get that feedback from people about what they're enjoying and what they're not. And consistency makes that happen.
So in just a moment, we are going to give you our 3 top tips. Well, 4 actually, because I'm going to hang on to you, Rebecca. We're going to give you our top tips of what you can do today to get yourself into a good position for author marketing. I want to just mention before we dive into that, Charla, tell us again what's going on with Heather Sellers.
Yeah, Braided Memoirs tomorrow, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a webinar and it's recorded if you can't join live. So
Absolutely. And if you are interested in Rachel, find her Substack. I've posted the link in the chat. And if you are watching this replay on YouTube, it's right down there in the description to find Rachel on Substack as well. And I also want to recommend to you guys, if you are working on finding your audience, check out the Ideal Reader Analyzer. Writers Bridge members get 26% off until September 6th. And if you are a book coach or editor, we also have a white label version where you can purchase multiple reports and run them for your clients as well. But check it out. You can download one of the sample reports for free, and you can sign up for a free email sequence that walks you through some questions to think about positioning your book for your proposal, for your query, for your marketing. Top tips for today. Rebecca, what is your top tip that we can do, some simple action that we can do today to get ourselves into a better place for marketing our book?
I would say um, be generous on social media with the groups and the people that are in your genre and that you genuinely enjoy. You connect with people and something hits, and you just do that again and again. And then when your book comes out, some of those people will genuinely love you back. And you can't count on anything. You just have to be there and see what you genuinely love. But you got to do the work. You got to be on there and be generous with your heart. And it, and it kind of pays off because somebody will love you back.
Exactly. Charla, what's your top tip?
Well, I was going to suggest being a lurker. See what other people are doing. Let's say you don't do TikTok, but maybe join TikTok for a few days, see what's popular there, see what other authors are doing or other people that are in your topic. What are other ways that you can approach marketing? But even if you don't want to do something like that, it's always good to start with the level of like, what are you deeply passionate about? What can you be the best in the world at? Like, what are you actually good at and what you can offer others? And also, when it comes to your Substack, like what would people be interested in? And maybe that Venn diagram, ideally, two of those overlaps, or maybe ideally three, will be where you should focus your efforts.
Rachel, what is your top tip for today?
Here's my best hack to growing your subscribers if you are a published author. You can go to a company like Book Sweeps. They have $50 to $100 a month subscriber surge giveaways is what they're called. And they're genre based. So if regardless of what you write, there is going to be one there for you. And that's how I have grown. I import probably anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 new subscribers, opt in. So you meet all of the guidelines every single month. So that is my top tip. That is my hack. There are other companies like Book Throne. You don't have to use Book Sweeps, whatever you want, but just make sure they're a legitimate company.
And my top tip for you all is 10 gives for every ask. You want to make those deposits in the bank of generosity long before you ever need to make a withdrawal. I have been really lucky that a lot of people have reviewed 7 Drafts on Amazon. Well, I spent 3 years before 7 Drafts came out reviewing all the books of all the people I knew on Facebook so that when they saw my book come out, it wasn't a tit for tat. I wasn't like, oh, Rebecca's totally going to review me because I reviewed her. But I got to tell you, when Rebecca's book came out, I remembered, oh yeah, Rebecca reviewed me, so I'm going to feel mildly guilty if I don't haul my butt over there and review her. You want to make those deposits into the bank of generosity. And I have seen Rebecca plug so many people, many of us from this community and from other communities. I have seen her talk about so many other authors that even when she's not doing something for me directly, it makes me want to lift her up too, because I see her contributions to the community. And so the more you can be a powerful literary citizen, even if all you have is 5 minutes once a week to review one book, the more you can build your literary community, the more your community is going to remember you and lift you up in return. Plus, you'll be happy and have a nice time.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Rachel, for being an incredible guest. Thank you, Rebecca, for jumping on spontaneously. We really appreciate it. And everybody, please feel free to unmute yourselves for a joyful goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Thank you. So fun.
That was fun.
That's
So fun.
That was
I feel like
lovely.
we could have, I'm so glad you're here, Rebecca. I feel like we could have just spent all day talking about Substack or book launches or whatever. Like, it's just never enough time.
I
It is
know.
never
And
enough time.
so fun to see you. Like we've
Yes,
known
you
each other for a
too.
while, but we never get to like see each other
I
and hang
know.
out.
We got to set up a Zoom call for sure.
We should.
Yeah, let's do that.
And
Thank you
thank
for
you.
having me.
Yeah.
Rachel, thanks for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And Rebecca,
Of
thank you for
course.
always being ready on the fly. I appreciate that too.
Rebecca's
I
done
love
such
it.
a great job. I mean, honestly, the way that you went about making your TikToks and your videos, like I'm uncomfortable. I don't have on my makeup. My hair is a mess, but this is me. And everyone just embraced that so much. That was a really great hook, I think,
I
for a lot of
think
people.
I think in a really polished AI world, vulnerability and humanity is going to go very far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
vulnerability is still like a hot commodity. Not to make it nothing more than just being vulnerable, but
Sure.
it's important. People
I am
connect to it.
so thankful that we have lived through the 5 to 7 year period where polished, pretty influencer look was the thing. And now that AI has gotten to be a bigger deal,
Yep.
genuine, real human with no makeup in a real environment is like way more popular. And I'm like, thank you.
We want to see the pores. We want to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
the sunspots.
Exactly. I do a live stream every Thursday with Madeline Sklar. I don't know if you know her. She's done Twitter Smarter forever. And she started doing live streams on StreamYard. And she was like, nobody cares what you look like. Honestly, they just want to hear what you have to say. But I mean, I put on my makeup. I'm sitting here with a broken leg. I don't think you all might know that.
Oh,
But that's okay. That's why I'm sitting on my couch and I'm not in my office. But I'm going to the doctor tomorrow, and hopefully, it's been 9 weeks in a boot. So hopefully, we're there.
I really
thanks.
hope that you're feeling better
Yeah.
soon.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, I'm good. It's like I have everything I need right here. I'm sleeping downstairs. Can't do the st I missed a step and went down hard on my foot, and that's how I broke it.
Mm.
So, it's just part of life, but we make it happen.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here with you guys. So thank you so much. It's a thrill.